Hi, okay, great. Excellent.
Hello.
Okay, I'll maybe just, while we're waiting here, we'll just do some introductions. And then just so everybody knows, I'm gonna be recording this so that the people that can attend, they can also listen in. So, today's agenda will be pretty straightforward. Hopefully it'll just be maybe 15, 30 minutes. We'll do an intro of the people that are here. We'll do a little housekeeping, and then we'll sort of go a quick overview of the course, and then sort of some strategies on how to navigate it, what we found that helps students be successful. And then at the end, we'll just have a quick Q&A, unless you guys want, I'll be here for 45 minutes or so, maybe even an hour if you guys need. But maybe I'll just kick it off and just introduce myself. So my name is Lamont. I'm a faculty right now at the AUSM at UNSW. And as you know, I teach data analytics and decision making. I also teach strategic consulting, and that's where we interface with corporates such as Google, Woolies, Qantas, and some new players in town like Immutable. It's one of Australia's fastest growing startups, scale-ups. So we help with the strategic management there. And then previous to that, I've done a number of things. I think what's most relevant here today is I do have a fairly technical background in computational neuroscience. And I think I've already written a little bit on the Moodle so that you guys have some background there. On the industry side, I've worked as a product manager, data scientist, and I've also founded my own company using AI. So hopefully a lot of that comes into play here, and I can provide some insight for you guys. Maybe with that, I'll just sort of get a sense of who else is here. So I know Gab, we've interfaced a little bit, and Adrian, we've interfaced a little bit, and maybe you guys can kick it off. We'll just go around the quick round of intros.
Can you all hear me, Lamont?
Yes, I can.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all. My name's Adrian. This is my third year in the Executive MBA. And a little bit about myself. I'm originally from South Africa, so you might hear an accent. But I actually work for a company called Tableau, who you'll hear more about in this semester. I've been with them for about 9 months now.
We're not paying Adrian, by the way.
And my background has been for cloud technology space. So I'm really keen to learn more about everybody here and maybe look at it from a different lens than the traditional technology cloud space. I'm very interested in hearing about from a healthcare medical perspective or from a mathematical algorithm perspective. So really keen to share some ideas and learn from you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. I just wanted to say, it's actually great to have someone from Tableau here. Actually, Tableau, I believe, was founded by a Stanford professor. Is that?
Yes, it was.
Yes, that's my alma mater. So yes, I have a partiality for Tableau as well, but Adrian's not being paid by us. It's by coincidence. So we will use Tableau. It's one of the better tools that, if you look at all the reviews, I think, and you look at the big four, JP Morgan, all the FANGs, Facebook, Amazon, Google, I believe, all use some form of Tableau. The other tool that you guys might encounter is Power BI. And we're agnostic to the tool. Like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously they can help, but we're trying to give you the foundational skills and the tool belt. So whatever tool ends up being in the future, you'll be prepared. But right now, that tool, to me, it seems like it's Tableau. So just because I sort of know you, Gab, why don't you kick off next?
I can do that. Sorry, it took me a while to get my audio sorted.
No worries.
This is just quick intros, right?
Yep.
Just to double check. Sweet.
Yep.
So hi, everyone. I'm Gab. I'm based over here in Perth. so it's not as late over here. I'm currently working as a project manager for an engineering consulting house. Really, it's just a startup. I used to work in the mining industry for a fair while, was fly in, fly out, mechanical engineer by training. So this is going to be very new to me. It's also my first term doing my MBA. So I'm doing an MBA for technology, yes. So hopefully I haven't shot myself in the foot with doing 2 units and full-time work. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. But yeah, I'll end it with same as what Adrian said. I'm keen to learn from others, to be honest. I'm probably going to be a bit of the fly on the wall in this session. But yeah, I'll be in absorb mode.
Yep. Congrats, by the way, Gab. Stefano, I think we sort of interfaced a little bit. Why don't you go ahead next?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I was late because I was at the neighbors for dinner and I had to run back. Is that, sorry, we're introducing ourselves. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, just a quick intro and just what you want to get out of the course.
Yeah, so, right. So Italian by origin, living in Sydney, Bondi for 8 years. I've been working in the wine and spirits industry for a few years now. Interesting. I was working for a Russian company until a couple of months ago, and then I had to resign from that role because of the events in Ukraine. And I was actually at dinner with a family from Ukraine who just came from Ukraine, so that's why I was late. So this is my 3rd subject. I'm doing the MBA executive. Did leadership and strategy first. I decided to do data analysis because I thought that was a kind of basic knowledge that you need to have from a management perspective. I'm not very familiar with the topic, although I do like numbers. So let's see how I go there. What I'm trying to achieve, sort of having a good understanding of how to make decisions, probably. So how to use numbers and to propose and present numbers in order to make decision for myself and for my organization, but also to be able to explain why I'm making those decisions. So that would be another thing that I have to say is that I'm going overseas next week to see my family, first time since COVID. So I decided to do the asynchronous, which usually I wouldn't do because I would prefer to be on, on a face-to-face. So I did a bit of pre-studying, as I probably told you in my emails already.
No worries.
Yeah, so I'll be away until first week of July, and then I'll be back.
Be understandable, and yeah, definitely go see family.
I'll be present. I'll be studying and everything.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Who wants to go next?
I can go next if that's okay.
Yep. Sounds good.
So my name is Saud. I'm originally from Jordan, and I lived in Australia for 10 years, and then I left, and I'm currently based in Dubai. I'm between roles. So I used to work in a retail consulting company, and now I'm transforming into more of a marketing tech company. I'm doing this course because I want to enhance my knowledge in data analytics. I was going to do the Google course, which I feel covers almost similar topics, and it's something that I would like to transfer into. So more of marketing and data analytics. And same as Gabby, I'm doing 2 subjects, and I'm currently at home with my daughter who's developed teeth, and she's eating me. So I'm going to cut it short because I'm in pain.
Yeah, no worries. I've got a 4-year-old that I just have to, just leave. My wife is going to cut him today. So.
Yeah.
All right, next. Thank you, Saud.
I can go.
Yep, Bevan.
Hi everyone, my name's Bevan. I'm a podiatrist, so I'm in the healthcare sector. Own and operate a number of clinics throughout regional New South Wales. I'm based in Dubbo. This is my 6th subject as part of the MBA Finance. And I sort of chose this subject. I just think it's a really important part of business, data analytics. So I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and learning a heap over the semester. And my wife's a data scientist, so she's already trying to talk to me about AI and machine learning and a few other things. So it'll be nice to pick up a bit more knowledge
Excellent.
for those conversations.
Great. Pleasure to meet you, Bevan. All right, we'll just quickly go through Jeffrey and then Michael.
All right. Hey, everyone. So my name's Jeffrey. I'm based in Queensland now. I just moved this December. So I chose the asynchronous, of course, just for that. This is my 8th subject, doing the MBA executive. So after this, I can do the executive year. So I'll be back in Sydney for that. Yeah, I thought this subject was pretty interesting, and I finished all the electives that I wanted to do. So yeah, but I wanted to improve my storytelling through data, because I think that's really important to be able to do that. So that's why I chose this subject.
Excellent, and that's exactly right. So I think as technical as you are, or whoever whoever might be the case, when you get to the board level or when you get to the executive and C level, you need to be able to tell that story in a convincing way. And there's a different set of skills that go into the communication of data, not just the gathering of data, the collection and the insights that you gather, but actually making it into actionable decisions at the board level. So yeah, that's a great way to frame it, Jeffrey. All right, Michael, last one for today.
Sure. Hey everyone, my name is Michael. I am working in the software engineering fields for many years, and previously I complete in my master degree in IT management, but I'm just very interesting to I have a passion in more in the business domain. So that's why I enrolled in MBA, and also data analytics, which is quite, and decision making, which is a subject which very relevant to my work. Every day I need to look into a lot of dashboard to understand different type of issues, or even that understand how our service is running. And also, like Jeffrey just mentioned, AI and machine learning, one of the hottest topic in contemporary world. So that's why I'm enrolling into this course.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for that quick introduction. And over the course of our 12 weeks here, we'll definitely get to know each other better. We'll break up into small groups, and you'll have a chance to get to know each other better as well. And the hope here is that you guys will be able to form not just team bonds here, but hopefully after this course, you'll continue your journey. Quite often we'll have people that they're in a tight situation, some decision has to be made, and they you need to call a friend. And so this is like the perfect getting to know somebody here 6 months, 12 months, 5 years down the line. Hopefully you can feel confident that you built the bond strong enough. You can just call someone and say, hey, I'm having this issue. I need to communicate to the board. I'm on the board and we need to make a decision. How do you think about this? This is the way I'm thinking about it. And you can have somebody here that you can be a sounding board for. So outside of building that social community, on the content side for data analysts and decision making, you've already probably seen the outline. It's basically 10 units. The first unit is responsible management, which we start out for all our courses now. We then go into a general overview for data analytics. And then I don't know if we want to, if you guys want a slide, I've got some slides, but I think I'll just keep it pretty informal. So the point of this course is not to dive deeply into algorithms. We will touch upon them, but this is more of like a high-level management version of it. And so while we will give you the foundational skills, particularly for those that don't have a data or quantitative background, and so we will get you up to speed. the latter half of the course will be more on, like Jeffrey was asking, sort of, how do we become better data storytellers or storytellers in general? Because if you don't tell a good story, no matter how good your algorithm is, no matter how much data you've collected, or no matter how insightful you think you are, if at the end of the day, executives or the board don't necessarily understand what you're trying to communicate, there will be no action taken. And on both sides, there will be frustration. And that's actually one of the key things you'll start learning in the second half, which is sort of this emerging role, which is not just AI and machine learning and data science. It's actually what a lot of companies are finding, for example, like Google and the other FANGs, there's a growing need for data, what they're called data translators, and different forms of them. But these data translators are people that have some understanding on the quant side, but also have the ability to qualitatively communicate those results. And I think as we go into 5-10 years down the road, this role called data translator will probably be, everybody will have to have some role in it, but particularly managers and leaders need to at least understand, if not be able to, deeply understand some of the concepts that we discuss in this course. So then after unit 1 and 2, we will give you again sort of, so I think for non-quants, it is probably going to be the most difficult part of the course, is probably units 3 to 7. So if, what we found to be successful students that sort of diligently go through the activities every week, they tend to not get, obviously, I know you guys have work commitments, you've got family, you've got mortgages, and, there's a lot going on. But, if you can just spend maybe, 3-4 hours a week is sort of, and hopefully uninterrupted time. It's hard with kids. I've got kids too, so I know how that is. But if you can just devote those 3-4 hours really dedicated, I think you'll come out just fine. This is even without coming a quant background. Obviously, if there are some differences in abilities, but for the most part, this is aimed at the general manager who has little to no quantitative background. But please get on top of the Harvard Linear Regression module as soon as you can. I know some of you might have already attempted a few of them. Attempted a few of those tries. So there's a prerequisite, you can test out of it if you're a quant. So that's pretty nice if you're a quant. So for the quants, this first half will be very easy for you. But I think where you will struggle is on the back half, where we talk about data visualization, choosing the right way to tell the story, and how you communicate it. I think that's where sort of the quants struggle in the last half. And I think what we're trying to aim is to build a holistic, not just a T-shaped, but what we call a comb-shaped type of person, where you have multiple specializations, but you can also bring it back out and you can communicate to general audience. And it is a skill set that just requires practice. And so speaking of practice, unfortunately, data analytics is one of those things where you can't just like read it or just listen to somebody talk about it. Like, probably the most effective way is really just doing it. It's what we call like a contact sport. It's not a spectator sport. You really have to sort of sometimes delve with material. And I'm here to help you guys. If you guys struggle with anything, just these office hours are an area where you guys can ask questions. I think the other part where you guys might struggle is some of the foundational, if you haven't encountered before, is basic probabilities and statistics. And sort of some of the ideas in underlying decision theory, the hypotheses tests. Some of them are sort of mechanical, and so like some of them can be a little bit dry, but we will give you actual business cases and case studies. We'll use like the Harvard studies on, for example, Uber's machine learning situation, where we had to figure out like when they were starting to grow, and you have these situations where what is the best way to segment the data? How do we think about applying these algorithms? We won't actually be applying the algorithms in this particular case, but you'll think at a business level, what is the way we're going to approach this problem? And just so you have some understanding, in today's data-driven companies, a lot of them, for example, like the Ubers and like the Googles, will have like a war room. In particular, Uber, they actually have a physical war, like a real war room, and they have data just streaming in constantly 24/7, and all the executives from the C-level down to the to the managers, all of them have some data-driven sort of background in data, and they talk about the numbers, and they're not just talking about strategy. The strategy is informed by the data, so it's what we call a data-driven strategy, and you need to be quick on your feet. You need to understand what the data means and sort of be able to question some of the assumptions. And I think part of this course, when we introduce you to some of the things that you might think right now may not always be applicable, as long as you have that sort of in the back of your mind, you've done a few of the exercises, we'll put it in application, theory to application, and you'll see how it works out. Hopefully 5 years down the line, if you encounter a situation like this, or you start encountering more and more more and more, you'll be able to have that fluency to be able to speak that language, and you won't feel like you're caught, sort of in an awkward position. And so then that leads to the final half of the course, where we start introducing you to not just the data visualization, the data storytelling, which you've already touched upon, but we're in weeks 9 and 10, we'll be really introducing you to the analytics pipeline, machine learning, and AI. And we've experimented, a little bit with introducing very, very high level, very basic code. So don't worry, you don't need to learn how to code. Maybe for Michael, he'll be, he has no worries. He's a software developer. But for some of you that have never touched code before, don't worry. We'll give you the code, and really the purpose is not to, develop your coding skills. It's just to help you understand this is the workflow. If you happen to interface with data scientists or data analysts, you won't feel like you don't belong. We just want you to have a touch with it, and you'll see that it's actually not as scary as it is. Although you will have to spend some time. I think some people it takes like 10 minutes. Other people it takes like 4 hours. So just be, we've tried to construct these exercises and activities where they're within reasonable time constraints, but they also give you a flavor of what it's like to work in these data-driven cultures and these data-driven organizations. So that's at a very high level, sort of how the course is organized. And I think maybe what I'll do, I'll just quickly maybe take a pause here, and then I'll quickly go over the Moodle. Do you guys have any questions about what I've spoken about so far? Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly share my screen. Let me see, where is the share screen button? Okay, here it is. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Sure can.
Yes? Okay, great. Okay, so I'll just quickly go over the course on Moodle. So for the first half, or the first third of the course, I should say, is most of our communications will be done on Moodle. But towards the second, as we move into the second, towards the midpoint, around after the 1/3 point, we'll start transitioning towards more and more towards Teams. I'll tell you why we do that. But first, in the first third of the course, any announcements will be here in Moodle, which you probably have already found. So, for example, this week we'll give you an update of like, what's been happening, as well as sort of an introduction to week 2. I'll also be probably providing a little bit more updates on sort of what we should do for week 2 on our simulations. And just so you guys know, there is a guest, while we're on here, we do have a guest speaker, or fireside chat, I should say, with a guy. His CTO is called Guy, but the CEO we're talking to is Greg Miner. And he's got a background in Apple, Microsoft, and now he has his own startup in the AI healthcare space. And it should be a fairly interesting conversation where we will be talking about data analytics and decision making. at a very high level. And so they should provide some context and motivation as we go deeper into the more technical aspects. But so this is where you'll find in the Moodle, this is where we'll find most of your announcements. The other thing that you guys should notice, I guess some of you have already taken advantage of this. This is just an informal social forum. The Q&A forum, I prefer, if possible, to put it on, or you can DM me, but you can also put it here if you feel it's for the general audience, for everyone. And the reason why I prefer Moodle is because, you know, we have 40 emails here that I have to, you know, that we will have here, but I also have some other classes. So at the end of the day, you know, I probably have, you know, hundreds, if not hundreds of emails. So what Teams allows me to do is just more effectively respond to you guys in real time in a sort of consolidated place, and it sort of saves not just my inbox, but your inbox as well. So that's the reason why we'll move to Teams towards the latter half. And as you start forming your teams, that's also, it'll be much more efficient for you guys to work through Teams. And that's also, Teams is the type of synchronous tool like Slack, which some of you guys may use. And that's sort of a tool that a lot of data-driven cultures are now using to more efficiently collaborate. So I think if you have not used something like that before, it might be a little bit, there might be a little bit of a culture clash, but just know that this is sort of the way a lot of data-driven companies are starting to communicate. So in terms of the dates, I think I have a quick slide here. I think the key assessment dates, you should mark this if you haven't already. So the key dates here are for assessment 2, which is your linear regression, the Harvard Quantitative Methods course. It's Friday the 24th, I believe it's 3 p.m. So by this time, you should have done at least one or two attempts. Again, if you've already tested, you can test out of it, but you have 3 tries and only 3 tries. So you know, if you've done the second time, just make sure that, you know, the last time, you know, make it count. If you've done well enough on the first 2, you don't have to do a 3rd try. Assessment 3 is Friday, July 8th, and that's that will be done. That'll be starting on Friday, July 8th, and will end on Monday at midnight. So you have the weekend, because I know for a lot of the part-timers, you need that weekend to take the test. And we'll talk more about sort of how to prepare for that as we get there. The last one is the final assessment, which is due the 15th of August, which is a Monday at 3 p.m. So just keep these dates in mind so that you can sort of allocate your workflow against these, you can time block it against these dates. So this is all in your Moodle, but just wanted to highlight these basic aspects. The assessments, okay, so we've already gone over sort of the rough outline for, you know, what we're covering. The assessments, 25% is going to be participation and engagement. That's through the participation on a weekly basis. So you'll see here as we go down. So I won't go into the detailed assessments unless somebody really wants to go through it. But basically, the discussion forums is the main forum in which we'll be assessing the participation engagement. And each week we'll start opening up what that particular week's either discussion or activity. So in some weeks we may have a topic. In another week we may have a business case study, which you will discuss in your teams. And you will be notified of your teams shortly. And so, so if you're busy one week, don't worry. It's not going to affect your participation grade so much, but just, it's been designed to be a buffer. For example, our tests make up about 40% of your grade. So if for whatever reason you didn't do really well on your linear regression test, or you didn't do really well on your week 6 test, your midterm test, this weekly participation way for you to sort of make up your points there. Now, oh yes, Adrian.
Quick question, Lamont. the guidance of 100 to 150 words, how strict are you with regards to that parameter?
So the idea here is not to be like, I'm not going to take off points if you go over, but it's just for, because I think we have almost 35, almost 40 students. If it gets long, it'll be really difficult for you guys to get a good, like, it'll just be really hard for the last person that happens to, if they're busy that week and the last person that has to participate, they've got to read through that entire thread. So, and it's also an exercise in developing a concise and clear argument. And so, happy to have, one group or one person take one position and another take another position, but just try and be as concise and as clear as possible. And this is an exercise where, I think Mark Twain has a quote where I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long one instead. So, that's sort of the idea, is just try and take a little bit more time to formulate your thoughts if possible. But I'm not going to, we're not going to penalize you if you like go a little bit above, so that's not the point. The point is just to have the discipline, exercise your critical thinking, exercise your communication skills in a clear and concise way. Cool. So then I think you guys, some of you have already started introductory activities. This should take 10 minutes. Just introduce yourself, like what we've done here. So some people didn't have opportunity or bandwidth or the time to come to today's live session, but this is a way for us to all just briefly know who you are. Starting next week, we'll be starting this simulation, the Harvard Data Analyst simulation. This you will do individually, but you will discuss in a team. And then we will then, through that, discuss on the forum. And it'll be more clear as, I'll give you an update either Sunday night or Monday. And we'll start week 2, and you'll have, but you can already start registering at this link here. You can start sort of exploring it. And probably the best use of your time is to do it individually first. Then on Friday, you'll have a chance to hopefully meet with some of your team members, and then you can discuss really briefly sort of how did you approach a data analytics simulation. And I actually have a video which I'll highlight here. So let me see. Let me see where it is. It is odd. I thought I had a live recordings. Yeah, this is so odd. I thought I hope I didn't accidentally erase it. Discussion forum, simulation. Because I put these Zoom, how do you guys access the Zoom link? Because the Zoom link was on that recording, live recordings. There should be a line here. I hope I didn't accidentally hide it. Wait, I apologize, guys. I don't see it right now for whatever reason. But if you guys were able to come here, you guys either got it through the email or through the Moodle site. I'm gonna have to double check what happened here. This is super odd. I was just like, anyways, in that live recording session, we'll have a copy of this live session and any other live office hours that I have. And there you will also find an introduction to both the data analytics. You'll find an introduction to data analytics simulation, like how do you run it. So you should run that again by yourself, and then you can then talk with your team about sort of what results you came with it. And a lot of people will have different approaches, and it's sort of a fun way, it's an icebreaker to get to know one another and also understand like different ways of approaching this really, sometimes it seems like a very undefined and very open and complex big data sort of problem. It's not big data per se, but there's a lot of variables that you have to think about. And sometimes it's difficult for people to wrap their heads around. But if you struggle with it, don't worry. Like it's a common issue. And the point is like, when we come together, we'll talk about like what are some better approaches to doing this type of data analytics simulation. And it'll hopefully motivate you guys as well as we go through the more technical subjects, that you'll sort of remember like, okay, this is the reason why we're going through this. So it's really unfortunate I can't find that right now, but in any case, I believe you guys should already have access to all the unit materials. So once you click here, this is I believe this leads you to the ebook. If you have any issues, let me know. But this is sort of where you should be doing most of your learning and activity. So in my case, it's going to be here. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much into weeks 3 and 5 and 7 and 8 yet, but just at a very high level, if you already have gone through the Harvard data analytics simulation, then please go right ahead as soon as you can into the quantitative methods course, because if you haven't done regressions before, if it's been a long time, it's been 5 or 10 years, please do it, because it can be challenging if, you know, just if it hasn't been in your brain for a bit. And so just a lot of times you can do within a week, but sometimes it might take them 2, and then some, you know, we've given you guys 3 weeks just in case if it takes you that amount of time. But please approach this as quickly as you can. And once you do the pre-assessment test, you'll get a sense of roughly where you stand. And then that will hopefully either, you know, you'll feel like you're pretty comfortable and you don't need to worry about it, or you'll find out that, okay, this is, you know, this is the motivation to dig into the book or dig into this into the module. I'm not going to go too much into week 7 and 8, but you know, if for whatever reason you know, I know some of you are traveling, if you want to go through it, you know, week 7 is available to you. Week 8 is also available to you. Just DM me if you want to know specifically what you need to do, and I can direct you. And I think that's basically it. I think there should be actually one more thing here, but I don't know what's. Let me just refresh this to see if anything happened. But maybe I'm just going to take a quick pause here and then go quickly into the Q&A, or if you guys just want to, if you have any other questions. Yes, Stefano.
Yeah, Lamont, question on week 2, the simulation, blue laundry detergent simulation.
Yep.
I went through the simulation already, and we have to. I think that's going to be part of the discussion of week 2, right? Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Now, when we go through the simulation, are we expected to use some sort of tools and some sort of probability and linear regression tools to actually make up our decision, or it's more looking at the numbers, making an informed decision, and trying to work out a strategy to, you know, to be successful in the market, sort of thing? Is that
yes? Yes. So you're exactly right there. So don't worry about doing any fancy, you know, techniques. It's really high level, and it's just at a general manager level of, you know, how would you approach, or sorry, I would say more like a marketing manager level, like how would you approach this problem? And there are different levers that will give you, you know, over 4 or 5 years, a better operating profit, or sort of, you know, better, or, you know, you'll gain more market share, and you'll have to decide as an individual or as a group, you know, what are the trade-offs, and sort of what did you optimize for, and what were the levers that drove those outcomes, and how did you come to those decisions?
Yeah, cool. Okay, thank you.
Gab.
You mentioned before around teams, and we're going to use it in the latter part of the course. Is there a specific team on Teams? I love saying that, that we should join? I'm just part of the student community at the moment.
Oh yeah, so that, I think either myself or the education team are going to send you like a Teams, and you will be there'll be I probably starting Monday, you will get like either an email, or you will just when you are on Teams, you'll notice that you'll have this data analytics team. And it'll probably be one general Teams where all 35 of you are there. So if there are any like general things, you can ask questions there. Or you will have a group of 4 or 5 people in your teams, and then you can start, talking about whatever it is, activities we're talking about now, or you can already start discussing potential projects.
No, that's great. I was just, I was worried I missed adding myself to something. So
No,
that's
no,
good.
no,
I'll sit
no, not
tight.
yet. Yep. Jeffrey.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to double check. Is the units 3 to 5, that Harvard regression method, is that the same as assessment 2?
That's the same as assessment 2, yes.
Okay, so that's, yeah, I was afraid to click on it in case
Okay.
I started doing the test or something.
No,
Okay.
no, yeah. So it's the same thing. So don't worry. It's not. And then, were you worried about like having too many? Like, were you worried about?
I just didn't want to start the test too early without reading it by
Yes.
accident.
Yeah.
Now, if I can, because I did it, if you click on that, you're gonna be redirected to the course, but then to take the test, you have to click.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, you can click without any consequences, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, just go ahead and click, and yeah, you'll be, yeah. Don't worry about it. Cool.
Quick
I think
question
we'll
from my side, if I may.
Yeah.
Just on the weekly submissions every week, do the topics that we need to comment on, is that released on a weekly basis, or will that be opened up for in a block, or how do we?
This one?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. This one. Yes. This one is opened up on these dates.
Okay, I see.
Yep. So we will open up, for example, next week we start on Monday, and then the original post will be due on the Friday. So you'll have 5 days to like post your original response, and then the form closes on a Sunday. Now, just note that, so basically, like, ideally you'll have posted your original post, and then you'll have chosen somebody to respond to. Now, on some occasions, I think, like, for example, week 2 will be a little bit different. So, I will let you know. So maybe I should put an asterisk here, because when you run the simulation, it's not going to be in the same format. But in general, this is the general format. So just every Monday we'll open up, we'll either tell you like this is a sort of a discussion week, or it could be an activity week. So I think, so probably I have to double check my notes again, but basically some of the weeks, like week 3 and week 4 might be an activity. Week 7 might be, for example, a business case study. Week 8, depending on sort of interest, and I believe we've had a lot of positive responses to this, is actually more of an activity, again, sort of using Tableau, which might be easy for you, Adrian, but for some people, they've never used Tableau before. So we just say, okay, this week, as a team, you'll each take one activity doing like, how do you visualize social media tweets, or how do you analyze, energy prices. And then week 9, you can choose to either discuss something or perhaps do an end-to-end, very basic machine learning project in Python. So, I think actually now that I think about it, most of these, these forums, we will have these, you will know what's happening by Monday, but it'll either take the form of a activity where you will like sort of summarize what you learned, or it could be some topic that we'll discuss in the class.
And just on that topic, in terms of creating teams, can you give us some guidance in terms of how many team members per team do you want us to create, and by when?
Okay, so unless there's like extraordinary circumstances, what we found is, we will, as a faculty, so we have another faculty here, we will organize the teams based on your location, your interests, like some of you are technology, some of you are in the executive program, some of you are social impact, some of you are in digital innovation. You know, we will match you based on, you know, some of those factors, and then, you know, it'll be a team of 5, and we'll try and balance it out as best we can. And so, yeah, it will be groups of 4 or 5, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is it's I think it's the first course that I'm doing where teams are actually selected for you. Typically, the students create their own teams. So you're saying that that will be done and then be issued to us?
Yes, and the reason we're doing it this way is we allowed students to choose before, and the teams just have not been as balanced, and so then it doesn't lead to, you know, people that know each other, they basically congregate to each other, and then they don't really get to know the other cohort. And yeah, so anyways, there's some there's some trade-offs in either situation, but we found that we're just going to, you know, if there's somebody that you really want to work with for whatever reason, like if you have professional ties and you feel like you guys can work together on it, and you know, you can DM me now before we finalize those teams. Otherwise, you know, once we set the teams, we're not going to change them.
Okay, thank you.
Jeffrey.
Oh, sorry, I'll just lower my hand.
Oh, no worries. Cool. I think I'm just going to turn off the recording for now, unless you guys have anything for the general audience, and then I'll just hang around for, you know, a few more minutes, 5-10 minutes. Michael.
Yeah, I just have a question. When are we going to know our team?
You're probably going to know on either Monday or Tuesday. Most likely Monday. Yeah.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, so let me just stop sharing this, and then if there's anything else, we can just take offline. All right, so thank you, everyone. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Okay, are we still recording? Let's see. Actually,